Thank you for joining. We are just waiting a couple of seconds more before we have many people joining in. Okay, so let's kickstart. Welcome and thank you for joining our LPG Talks live today. I'm André Pimentel and I'm with ANOVA, the remote tech monitoring partner and industry council member of the World LPG Association. It is my great pleasure to host this very first edition of the LPG Talks live series. Today, we'll be discussing how to get the most of the eLPG week. We have had a lot of interest in this session. Thank you all for signing and tuning in today. We hope you will find this super helpful and productive. First, I'm delighted to welcome Henry Cubbon, the president of the World LPG Association and managing director of DCC LPG. As many of you may know, Henry has been with DCC since 2008 and has been very involved in their rapid growth as an LPG distributor in 10 countries across Europe, USA, Hong Kong, and Macau. Welcome, Henry, and thank you so much for joining us and for kicking off our session.
Andre, thank you very much, and good morning or good evening to everybody joining this session, and thank you very much for being with us. As Andre said, this is the first of a new series of monthly webinars entitled LPG Talks Live, and today we're hosted by the WLPGA Industry Council member ANOVA. So thank you, Andre and ANOVA, for hosting today. The subject of this first webinar is eLPG Week. This is the first global LPG summit. So over the next hour, we're going to cover with you what to expect and how to get the most out of your participation in the conference. Just to start off, I think we really have to acknowledge obviously the impact that the COVID pandemic is having on everybody, its impact on lives and livelihoods around the world. And we hope that everybody on this call and in our industry is keeping safe and well. Some very recent analysis from the LPGA of the sector during the crisis has shown that firstly, LPG has generally fared pretty well, with overall volumes remaining at good levels around the globe. Residential demand has remained pretty robust, and to extent this has been compensated for by drops seen in some of the other sectors, such as the commercial sector and the industrial sector. Secondly, the LPG industry has proved to be pretty resilient and reliable, continuing to deliver gas safely to homes throughout the crisis. And this really must be acknowledged, recognized, and appreciated. But the crisis has also had a profound effect in significantly accelerating two global trends, which are highly relevant to all of us. Firstly, the world is demanding a green recovery. Build back better, people are talking about. Green recovery, people are talking about. And here, LPG has a critical and vital role. LPG is a low carbon fuel with low emissions and does not contribute to air quality problems. LPG is also available in even the most remotest of areas. It's affordable, and it is enabling domestic and commercial consumers to move away from traditional polluting fuels. It is also a fuel with a renewable pathway with bio-LPG and other related biogases. As such, we are part of the solution and not part of the problem. The second major trend we're seeing accelerating are trends in consumer behavior and in our ways of working. Both of these are driven by digital technology, and these have accelerated far faster than we ever thought possible 6 months ago. Just look at how we're talking together today and how we will talk together again at the conference. Commentators have said that we have jumped 5 years in technology adoption. So effectively now, today, we're in the year 2025. Quite a surprise. So just think about it. As people personally invest in our industry, we must adapt to these trends and we must adapt fast. But before acting, it's always best to hear from experts. We must learn from each other around the world. These are global trends, and we must have the opportunity to debate the implications. It's only with this knowledge as leaders in our industry that we can grasp what needs to be done. The other option is to stay in our local bubble and put our heads in the sand. And the really great news is that eLPG Week will provide the perfect platform for us to gain this knowledge. And I can assure you that the return on investment, however you measure it, for you and your colleagues, in attending this event will be massive. The team at the WLPGA have done a super job for us in setting up this event using best-in-class virtual conference platform to allow us to hold a truly interactive event, a two-way event. And being virtual, the event will be accessible to a much wider audience without the cost of travel, accommodation, and time out required for a normal, traditional physical event. So I encourage you to look closely at the program, register for the conference, select carefully the events and debates which are relevant to you, and be sure to be putting those in your diary, in your virtual diary, if you like, now. I'd also ask you to consider which of your colleagues will also benefit from this event and make sure that they get to join in and register. So, with unrivaled content, access to leading suppliers of goods and services, as well as tremendous networking opportunities, ELPG Week is something not to be missed. I look forward to seeing you there. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Thank you very much. ELPG Week is less than 1 month away. It's a jam-packed event with a lot happening over 5 days from 2nd November to 6th November. To help delegates and partners better embrace the event and understand how to get the most of this LPG industry event of the year, we have James Rockwell, CEO and Managing Director of the World LPG Association. James also needs little introduction to LPG industry participants. He has a long history serving the WLPGA on its mission, delivering value to its members, and leveraging his broad background with Shell and others in the space. Hello, James. Thank you for joining us.
Great. Thank you, Andre. It's great to be here.
Thank you. I'm also very excited to have Esther Assus with us, the events director of the World LPG Association. Esther is the driving force behind our industry-leading events, LPG Week and European Association Congress. This year, she's raising the bar on virtual events with LPG Week. Welcome, Esther. Thank you so much for joining the group today and helping our audience ensure they get the most out of this unique virtual event.
Thank you very much, Andre. I'm very happy to be here, and thank you for the audience for joining us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Esther. Before you jump in, we thought it would be very interesting for everyone if we have an open with a quick poll. Have you already registered for the ELPG Week? So let's launch the poll and the questions, and please use your webinar controls to vote. By the way, while we are waiting for the votes, please note that we will have a prize drawing at the end of the session today. And someone here will win a free delegate pass for LPG Week 2021 in Dubai. So stay tuned for that. We are waiting a little bit more on the polls. And I believe we can now close to see the results. And almost 50% have registered in the ELPG Week, and that's great. And also looking that a lot of people it's planning to. And for those that are still undecided, we hopefully this session will make you see the value and make you register for it. So thank you for voting. Okay, so right now for our fireside chat. James, my first question is for you. In any given year, LPG, previously the World LPG Forum, has been the must-attend LPG industry event, bringing together industry leaders and participants to discuss and showcase the latest in LPG thinking and innovation. What can we expect from this year's virtual ELPG Week?
Thank you, Andre. Well, you can expect a lot, I would say. You can expect something new, something innovative, and something forward-looking that shows the LPG industry to be vibrant and a fuel for the future, which is exactly how we want to be seen. I think you can expect an event that will be talked about for years to come. And I mean that seriously. The event is going to be spectacular. And those that didn't sign up for it are going to regret having missed it. But don't expect that it will be simply a physical event made virtual, because that's not the intention. We know that we really can't do that. But what we want to do is make something better. Now, how is it better? Firstly, it's available, as Henry said, to everyone, everywhere, at any time. you've got very low barriers to entry. There's no flight costs, there's no accommodation, no visas, no time out of the office, and very low registration fee, which means that we expect a lot of people to turn up. Now, we don't just have the World LPG Forum. We have multiple events on one platform. We have an LPG for Development Summit. We have the Global Technology Conference, Autogas Day, the World LPG Challenge, a North American Summit hosted by PERC and NPGA, the Argus Excellence Awards from 2020, and so on, many more. And the ease of access is not just for delegates, but it's also for speakers. And the result is that we have an unprecedented lineup of leaders from government, ministers, multilateral institutions, and industry that are ready to understand and contribute to the future of our sector. We're not constrained by the dimensions of time and space, as a traditional event you would be. If you miss a session, it's available 24/7. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And if you can't join the week itself, the platform's open online for 3 months. So this is a repository of knowledge that's available to you as a delegate for whenever you have the time to come back to it. This is the future now. As Henry said, we're living in 2025. So it's come a little bit early, but virtual social and business interaction has made an enormous jump this year. We want to lead that with you, our industry members. Now, we all have to adapt, to learn, and to realize new paths in adding value to our sector. I am convinced that mastering this new world is a competitive advantage for you, for us, for all of us.
That's so exciting, James. Thank you for that extremely helpful overview. I certainly cannot wait for this year's event. And now my following question, it's for you, Esther. There's an immense value in the networking opportunities provided in the LPG Week. Please tell us, how can delegates and partners secure meetings in advance of the events, and how are the social interactions going to happen? And conversely, delegates has always used LPG Week to learn about new products and solutions. How can delegates engage with relevant companies and learn about their new products and solutions?
Yeah, thank you, Andre. I think it's a very fair question, especially thinking about a virtual event. Networking has been one of the key strengths of LPG Week and the World Forum previously. And when we were thinking about eLPG Week, in fact, we have had quite an intense period while we were looking at the different platform providers and the different platform functionalities, trying to integrate especially this networking aspect. So we have decided to work with a platform which is called Swapcard. And for those that have signed up, I'm sure you're aware of that. And for those that haven't signed up yet, I will explain a bit more about it. Swapcard basically is due to engage with all the attendees before, during, and after the event. And we have seen recently very big events, like for example, GasTech, use the same platform. So we are more or less reassured that in the choice that we have made, and also the economists use the same platform for their events. So it shows that we made the good choice. And what I would like to do, because I can understand that this networking virtual aspect is not very clear in people's minds, I will show you a bit of the platform. I will just share my screen, and then I can show you how it works. Tamsin, can you please step in here? Thank you so much. So in fact, sorry for this glitch in the presentation, there's something wrong here with the computer, but from what I can see on the screen, in fact, this is the email that you will receive from Swapcard if you have signed up for the event. It's really easy. You click on the button and it will bring you to the landing page of the event, which is basically, next slide, please, which is basically the, next slide, please, it's not the right presentation. If you will just bear with me for 2 seconds, I will try to show the right presentation. Yeah. Yeah, back to you, Andre. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Esther. I know how important it is to connect with people during LPG week, and this year's event, it's no exception. And I'm seeing you sharing the screen.
Yeah. So here we go.
Okay.
Apologies for that. So here,
No worries.
indeed, you can see the email that you will receive, and then you come to where your networking will start right from the start. It's at the landing page of the event. It's the door opening to your experience of LPG week, and you can see here the marketplace, the attendees and the partners, which specifically for your networking are extremely important. The Swapcard platform is driven by a lot of artificial intelligence and matchmaking algorithms. So when you go to your delegate list or your participants list, in fact, there are a lot of filters that you can use, as you can see here on the left side of the screen. Main activity, business unit, and all these filters will have drop-down menus that will allow you to connect with the right people. When you sign up for the event, you will be asked a lot of questions, and these questions are all put in the system to allow that the matchmaking, as you can see it here on the screen, will work for you to connect with the right people. And in fact, the platform will suggest, as it says here, people you should meet. If you come to the person that you would like to be in touch with, in fact, what you can do, and it's really easy, you can see on his profile, he has put his availability, and you can set up a meeting with him. You send a meeting request, or you send him a message in the chat box. And every activity that you do on the platform, you can find it in your week, which is your personal agenda. If you want to have a real conversation with live view, like we used to do with someone, you can do that as well. You ask for a video meeting, and you can have this video conference, directly on the platform as well. So you enhance, in fact, the various networking opportunities, and then your eLPG week agenda can be ready. As I said, you can start right now when you have access to the platform. You establish your own week with the sessions that you would like to see. You put those in your agenda with the appointments that you have set up, the people that you would like to reach out to, and even a wish list. If there are certain companies out there that you would like to learn more about, but you cannot get in touch with them yet, you put them in your wish list. So the networking starts as from the landing page of the event. And basically, if you signed up, you can start it from next week. Thank you, Andre.
Well, thank you, Esther. Clearly, we have thought of every detail to ensure we'll be able to gain value from the event. And we all know how important it is to connect people within the industry. Thank you. Now here's one question for partners, and I'm bringing back to you, James. As a cornerstone of the LPG industry, LPG Week has always provided partners the ability to establish new relationships and deepen existing ones, as well as generate new leads and close deals. What value can partners expect to gain from this year's virtual eLPG Week, and what are the opportunities to meet delegates?
Well, thank you, Andre. I'd say that the marketplace, as we call it, or the exhibition, is still a cornerstone of the new business model that we have. eLPG Week is really, it contains a B2B marketplace that brings together buyers and sellers as we would normally have, but in a virtual world. Now, we've all become used to interacting using Zoom or Skype or other forms of communication. A virtual exhibition is really quite the same, but I think it's got several advantages over a traditional model, and I fully accept that there are some weaknesses compared to the traditional model, which unfortunately we can't do anything about. But let's focus on the advantages. Firstly, it's no longer just a senior executive or two from a company who attends the event. These people may not have the expertise or perhaps even just the interest to interact with the exhibitors. What we'll have now is the procurement manager. We'll have the project manager. We'll have their technical staff joining them. We may have the head of HSE. We may have a plant manager, and so on. All the people who actually make the purchase decisions, who understand what they want from their suppliers. This interaction is not random. Delegates and visitors can screen in advance who they want to see, exactly the products they're after, and they plan their interactions with suppliers accordingly. As I said before, once you take your place in the ELPG Week marketplace, your company is available, not just for 3 working days at one time zone in the world where we happen to be doing the event. No, your company is visible and available 24/7 to all time zones across the planet. And don't forget, it's available for 3 months. So if you don't get into that marketplace, you will not be there for a 3-month period. Your visitors can plan their visit, when they will return, and when they will talk with their experts, and then you can close the deal. Lastly, what's true for delegates and speakers is also true for exhibitors. There is a low barrier to entry. You don't need to fly a team across the world. You don't need to ship your equipment. You don't have to take time away from home and your family and the office. And you also have far lower direct costs of participation. I think when you look at this, you should ask yourself, well, lots of questions, clearly, but there are 3 questions that stand out for me. Firstly, is your company embracing the new way of doing business? And do you want to? Secondly, what are your competitors doing? Think about that. And thirdly, can you afford to wait for a possible return to the past, back to 2020? Or are we going to stay in 2025 and beyond? And if that's the case, are you looking to the future? And how do you want to take part in that future? Thank you, Andre.
Awesome. Thank you, James. I know we have a good mix of folks online today, and they appreciate this perspective, especially the 3 questions in the end. And they are right now revisiting those mentally. Thank you. Continuing with partners, Esther, Maximise today, more than ever, visibility and branding play a significant role in an effective messaging. Being a digital event, how can companies maximize exposure from ELPG Week?
Yeah, again, fair question, Andre. You're well prepared, trying to see the advantages and disadvantages of the virtual event. In fact, branding is essential for every company, and especially on the virtual platform, where you need to see that your company is on the forefront of what people see when they come to, for example, the landing page or to your company page, is essential. Now, within ELPG Week, we have several packages available that include various opportunities for branding. Of course, we also have different opportunities available, like, for example, the e-stage, whether this can be a live session or a pre-registered session, and it will allow for your company to stay visible because, as James mentioned, the platform will be open until the end of January. The second part for the virtual event and the branding for me is your company page. It's essential that your company page is full of details that you would like your customers, your potential customers, your regular customers to see. You can compare your company page to basically the business card that you exchange traditionally on the exhibition floor. Now, let me share my screen again and see how that works for ELPG Week. Yeah, good. So as I mentioned, maximize your company exposure. Here, this is your gateway into ELPG Week. And here we can see our host and our featured partners visible, as well as the other partners that have already signed up. This, for example, here on the right side, Mulberry, is a branding opportunity which is still available. So there's anyone out there that says, wow, that's a fantastic opportunity, it's not very expensive, please get in touch with me and we can have a chat about that. So this is your gateway in, where you can see already the branding. And this is your company page. This is an example of WLPJ's company page. Of course, we will still enhance it once the event is live. But as you can see, you can put here your video. You can put all the meeting opportunities then that people can book for you to have a chat, the company information, your social media links, contact details, and here you can put in every team member that will be working with you during ELPG week. You can add, as I mentioned, videos. You can pull up your product listings, any other documents. In fact, this is all managed by yourself as an exhibiting company or as a partner in the back office to enhance the visibility that you will give to your company during the event. And here on the right side, you can see the chat box, which will be open at all times. So it's branding, it's being visible, and is being available, I would like to say, available to have a discussion with all the attendees during the event. Thank you.
Thank you, Esther. And that's this is looking great. And I'm sure that the companies are going to take a lot of value from this branding. And at this time, we're going to ask another question for the audience, just to get a little bit more of insight over the folks here. So tell us, what you think will be the most valuable part of the LPG week for you? We're bringing the pullback. There it is. You can use the controls in the app to vote. And it can be strategic panel sessions, Autogas Day, GTC, LPG for Dev Summit, World LPG Challenge, D-Stage presentations and snapshots, the partner events, and networking, just as we just covered with Esther. So let's give just another seconds before we close it. Okay, I believe we're good. If we can close the poll so we can look into the results. Okay, and the topic that most people are looking for, it's networking. It's really important, and precisely where we have been discussing how people can interact and how they can network, which we all understand that is something that we can take the most of this event. Also, GTC and strategic panel sessions are very important for the audience. So great to note that. Thank you for voting. And Esther, on the lead generation, so what delegate information will be shared with the marketplace and when? What about analytics, for instance, for example, the number of visitors coming to their company page, or how can the exhibiting companies maximize the number of delegates and visitors they meet in the LPG week? What to prepare now and how to capture during the event? I think this is the question inside everyone's head that is looking, especially after this vote.
Yeah. In fact, Andre, having a virtual event, it has many advantages. It has, of course, a disadvantage, but the advantage that I would like to insist on is that everything can be traced, can be calculated, which is an advantage for you as a participant or as a partner. It's also an advantage for me as an event organizer, so I can see how the event is doing. So I would say this lead generation, as you mentioned, is really important. Now, flipping back to how it goes on the Swapcard platform. So in fact, this is what I meant about lead generation. Everything that you do on the platform as an exhibitor or as a partner, every contact that you make with other people will be traced. As I said, it's the artificial intelligence behind it, the matchmaking systems that are behind the platform as well, which will generate and will propose people for you to meet. All these contacts will be considered as a lead. And all these leads will be then stored into your own personal page. Like here you can see the contacts. And the easiest thing about it is that you can export it all as an Excel spreadsheet, and you can put it then back into your own CRM system. The lead capture process in the back office of your marketplace page is done automatically, and it will allow you to see how many visitors come to your page, how many contacts you have made during the day, people that have bookmarked your company, for example, as a lead, and you can then monitor it all. The advantage is you can learn from it, and you can see how successful you are and adapt if you need to adapt your strategy, basically. There are more elements to it than I can show you now on the screen because it's very static. But honestly, if you want more depth information on how this lead generation works on Swapcard, Andre, I'm happy to send you a video over for anybody else in the audience that is interested to give you a bit more of background information. Thank you.
That's impressive. Thank you, Esther. And that is certainly very valuable information for our partners and delegates that are online. So I believe that will be very, very important. And Esther, what tips do you have for participants in advance of the event? What are the key dates to be aware of, sessions or network event signups to make, apps to download? What should people do now?
So I would say, and we've opened the platform this week basically for all our partners to set up their pages. So that's, I think the first thing is for all our partners to set up their pages, to get the right information in their market page, because that's their business cards towards the outside. The second phase is for the attendees, those that sign up, go and explore the Swapcard platform, go and explore everything that we will be proposing during eLPG week, which can be from content of the sessions to, of course, the marketplace, to the snapshots and the e-stage. Make your own agenda, prepare now, ask for contacts, reach out to other people, set up meetings, and then at least when the platform is live, I mean live on the 2nd of November, you can start and do your business and do your networking. I can show you this, again, if of course it will work here, which I'm not sure of. This quick overview of edit your personal profile, as I mentioned, your company profile, and send your meeting requests. And then basically as from then, it will roll out itself. The other thing that I didn't mention yet, there's also an app. I don't know whether it's one of the questions that might come up in the Q&A, but there is an app available. You just go to your app store on your phone, iPhone, or an Android, and then you download the app. And basically the app is just a mirror of the website. So it's really, really easy. You have the same information and you will be up to date at all times of what's going on.
Wow, there's so much one can do to improve their experience and maximize the outcome of the LPG week. The app download, for instance, and start interacting before the event. So thank you for sharing that. And I'm sure all the folks are going to it's going to be very valuable for everyone in the call. James, a consistent and compelling component of the LPG week has been the leaders-led discussion of the present and the future of our industry. Will this continue in the LPG week, and how will this be organized? You're on mute, James, sorry.
Yeah, thanks, Andre. Absolutely, yes, it will definitely be continued. How will it be done? Let me start with that. The whole week will be run a bit like a cable news network event channel. We've hired a studio in Paris, and we've also hired the anchor, one of the news anchors from France 24, which is the global news channel from France. Speakers will present and discuss and debate as they would normally do in a physical meeting, but they will be coming from different parts of the world, as you expect from a virtual conference, with also people in the studio if they can actually make it on the day, and that we'll have to see. They will debate with each other, they will ask each other questions, but also the virtual audience will be able to ask questions as you do generally through a normal virtual application, pretty much as we have with Zoom. So no need to hold up your hand, no need to wait for the microphone to come to you as you have in a normal event. But as I also mentioned in the opening, eLPG Week is very easy to join, and that's true for the delegates, it's true for the exhibitors, and it's true for our speakers. This means that it's very attractive for speakers to join, where you might want to have the leader of a multilateral institution, let's say the International Energy Agency, one of the, if not the leading voice of the energy industry in the world, it's very hard to get a senior executive from that organization to take the time to fly, let's say, to Dubai, probably take 2 days at least out of their schedule, 2 nights in a hotel for a 1.5 hour interaction with one part of the energy industry. And to be frank, for them, a small part of the energy industry. So this is often a challenge for us. This year, we have the head of the International Energy Agency, Dr. Fatih Birol, will be the opening keynote for ELPG Week. And if he is coming, you can be sure that many energy journalists, opinion leaders, influencers from around the world in energy are going to be there. They're going to listen to what he has to say about energy, about the recovery, the green recovery from the pandemic, and about the role that LPG has to play in it. It's enormously valuable for our industry to have that kind of interaction. It's not just Fatih Birol. We have ministers of energy from countries around the world. We have CEOs, presidents of companies getting involved. We have, and I can tell you this now as a kind of a breaking news because they haven't actually published this news, but we have the CEO of a rocket company who's making the rockets which will launch satellites from the recently opened or recently approved launch center in the north of Scotland. And these rockets are going to use not just propane as a fuel, but biopropane as a fuel because of the environmental impact. And these rockets are all 3D printed. Now, this is the kind of level of speaker that we're going to get talking to our industry. So I think it's probably better than we have ever had before in terms of the level of speaker. Thanks, Andre.
Thank you, James. That's brilliant. We're all looking forward to hear and discuss the future of our industry. James, any final comments about the event?
Yeah, I think this is the first time we've done ELPG Week. It's the first ELPG Week, but I am sure it will not be the last. That's not because I'm a pessimist and I think that the virus will never go away. I think it will. And I think probably during early 2021, we will be able to travel again, maybe not completely freely, but we don't know anything for sure. And I think whatever happens, certainly we believe that in the future, the demand for virtual meetings is going to remain. People have become used to this. They understand that it's more efficient and it's lower cost. I think what we'll see in the future is something more like a hybrid event where we have a physical meeting, but we bring in many, many more people virtually. And that means virtually into the sessions, but virtually into your exhibition booths as well. So I repeat what I said before, understanding how to use these virtual platforms, mastering your online presence together with your face-to-face interactions is going to be a competitive advantage to you, whether you're an exhibitor or whether you are a delegate. What I would say to you, my friends and colleagues in the industry worldwide, is let's do it together. Let's learn. Let's make mistakes. Let's learn from those mistakes. But let's create new value together for our global LPG industry. Thanks, Andre.
Thank you, James. We're all very excited with what LPG has to bring, and we'll certainly looking forward to help on building that. We have another poll for the audience, and this is a little bit for how can we provide you more information. So if you could tell us what you want more information on, what kind of information are you looking more that the World LPG Association can provide to you to clarify a little bit better about the LPG Week. More things about what should you do, what should you know in advance at the event, what if you should do if you cannot attend or miss a session, if there will be replays or shows like this, opportunities to meet specific delegates or specific partners, or where you can register. So if you can vote using the in-app controls, very shortly we'll be presenting the results. Let's give it a few more seconds before moving into. And I believe we'll be able to close the voting now, this one. And it's very interesting. So people is actually looking for more information of what they should do in order to advance and how to prepare the event. And that's a little bit about what Esther actually was mentioning about many things that people should do. And that great slide about now, in the event and after the event. And that's definitely something we'll make sure that it reaches all of you. So thank you for answering to that question. And this has certainly been a very interesting question. I, for one, am very excited about the LPG event. I hope you also have a better sense of what it is on offer, how the event is run, and what you can do to maximize the event for you. Before we have our prize drawing, let's open up the floor for questions, and please use the question control to ask questions. And we'll be more than happy to answer to questions that will come from the audience. And we have the first one here in. So David is asking, how many attendees are you expecting at ELPG Week? James or Esther, feel free to jump in.
Well, I can make a stab at that one, Esther. We're clearly expecting a lot more than we normally get at a physical event. I can't give you exact numbers right now, but just as an example, we've received registrations already from several companies that are bringing, I would say, in the order of 10 times as many people as they would normally bring. So if you think of a factor of 10, if you apply that across the companies that normally take part, we could be looking at many thousands of participants from across the world. So it's truly going to be very large, in my opinion.
Thanks. Thank you, James. We already have another question in. Alan's asking, what are the hot topics you expect at ELPG Week? This is a very interesting question.
James, I'll hand it over to you because you're managing the roundtable discussion. And I think this question is specifically regarding content. I mean, there's several very interesting sessions, but maybe you can highlight a bit, James, your roundtable discussion, for example.
So yeah, I think there's a clear theme that runs through the event, which is called Bringing Energy to Life. So we want to see how LPG can contribute to lives and livelihoods. The relevance of the current pandemic is really, really important. World governments around the world are talking about the need for a green and sustainable recovery. And we find that LPG is very well placed to fit into that green sustainable recovery. Why? Because it's low carbon, but importantly, it contributes to air quality improvements. And lastly, it's available and affordable. And this is something which is really important, we find increasingly, to governments around the world. So we believe that we have a very important opportunity to be listened to by policymakers and by civil society in general. The other thing I would say is that we are currently, just started this year, a 3-year plan, a 3-year strategic plan. So the sessions that you will see will reflect our strategic plan. So we have a major session on advocacy, we have a major session on business improvement, and we have a major session on innovation and growth. So that's also a kind of common theme that goes through the event. So if you have not looked at our strategic plan, I would encourage you to go online to our website where you can download it and you can look at the most important issues that we believe our industry is facing right now.
Thank you, James. Thank you. And everybody's looking for all of those topics. We have another question coming in. Youssef is asking, do you think LPG Week in Dubai will be postponed? Esther, probably this one's for you.
Youssef, don't be so pessimistic, I would say. Honestly, no. I don't think that LPG Week in Dubai next year will be postponed. But as there's always a but, of course. But as James mentioned, I think the future of events will be hybrid events. So I think Dubai next year will take place. It will be a physical event, and I think we'll be more than happy to meet up physically with all our friends, our colleagues in the industry, but it will definitely be a hybrid element to it. So I don't think we will postpone, but it will be hybrid, yes. Good question, though.
Thank you, Esther. We have another question anonymously. are you planning to have more virtual events like this one in the future on an annual basis? Like LPG Talks line. Go ahead.
Well, I think we can probably both say something about that. You know, this whole pandemic's caught everybody a little bit by surprise, but we have rapidly, I would say very quickly, pivoted and adapted to the new world. And that new world is providing also lots of opportunities. We don't get to meet our members on a weekly, daily basis the way we are at the moment. So my feeling is that, yeah, we're probably going to have more of these events. We've already held this year, I don't know, half a dozen webinars in different countries around the world or on different themes. We're going to continue to develop that. I can imagine platforms like Swapcard are going to become an essential part of everybody's business tools. But we haven't yet had that clear discussion internally in terms of how many events and which events, but I think Esther's going to be very busy with digital and virtual events in the coming year or two.
Thank you, James. Thank you. We got another question from Panagiotis Aritopoulos. Following this session, ELPG Week sounds much more than I would originally thought of it to be. So that's great. Thank you, Panagiotis, and great that you were able to inform you and highlight a little bit more. Could you extend the early bird registration for a few days more so that we can register more of our staff? Esther?
In fact, what we did, we already extended the early bird rate. And to be honest, the rates are not very high. It's extremely different compared to the physical event. It's almost 1/3 of what we traditionally would charge as a fee. Also, we have various packages available to make it even more attractive. So the early bird rate ended yesterday and will not be extended.
Well, can I just add something to that though? If you want to bring in a lot of people, and I mean if you want to bring in a bulk group of people, of course we're open to discussions. We understand that some companies may want to bring in 10, 20, 30, 50, sometimes even 100 delegates. And in that case, we would be willing to talk to you about what your expectations are and what we can provide.
Thank you, James. Thank you for that. We have another question. So when will it be available for the participants of the event, the marketplace? So when it's going to be open? Is it on the 2nd of November, before? Could you speak to this, Esther?
Sure. The marketplace is already open now for the exhibitors and the partners. The marketplace will open next week, in the course of next week, for the delegates. So that means, as I mentioned earlier on, the partners are already setting up their company profile and everything to be ready for the delegates to come in, as well as the visitors. So there's this timeline that I try to explain, so that the platform is already active, and that when a delegate comes, I mean a delegate like someone interested in doing business, can see that the companies are ready and it can already start doing their outreach and make the various appointments. So it's over the coming, for the delegates, over the coming days, next week, probably.
Okay, thank you, Esther. Thank you, James, for answering the questions. We have no other questions. Feel free to reach out if you have other questions afterwards the event. And now we have our prize drawing for a free delegate pass for LPG Week 2021 in Dubai. Esther, do you want to share a few words on next year's event?
Yeah, I am really happy. I will share my screen again to announce that indeed next year's event will take place in Dubai. Youssef, as you asked for, is looking forward to be a really exciting event, not only because we will meet again physically, but also because we already have a very high-level program, a very rich program, as you can see here on the image. Our host will be again also next year, Enoch. I would really like to thank them as well for their support. So looking forward to seeing you live next year from the 5th until the 9th of December.
Thank you, Esther. And I think I think we speak for all. Everybody's looking looking forward for LPG Week and also next year in Dubai. So, and the winner is Cedric Morel from Sensile Technologies.
Yeah.
So congratulations, Cedric. We'll get in touch with you shortly to work on the details. I'm looking forward to seeing you in Dubai. So congratulations for that. And this wraps up our session today. I wanted to thank all of you for being with us today, for your interest in this very first LPG Talks live session, and of course, in the LPG Week. If you are looking to participate in the LPG Week event of the year, don't forget to register and make the best of it. If you have any questions, reach out to us and to the World LPG Association team, and we'll be able to clarify all of those. Also, a very special thank you to you, Henry, James, Esther, for that you are here with us today. We are all very excited with the LPG Week. Thank you, and hope to see you all in the LPG Week. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andre, for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.